Coming up on Talk is Cheap, we will be discussing the revolutionary technology CRISPR and the possibilities that are endless with genetic modification. Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap. My name's Dale Westaby, and I'm here to talk about CRISPR, a revolutionary technology.
And don't forget us over here, joining you again this week.
It's Dan.
And Tim Griffin. How are you doing?
We're back in action.
Back in action, yeah. I'm glad to be here. Glad to see you guys again.
And we're just discussing this kombucha.
Kombucha. Yes.
Kumbaya. Maybe I made a new name. I don't know.
I love kombucha.
They say it tastes like vinegar.
It's a mild. You know,
it's pretty good for you.
It's good. It's got the probiotics is a whole deal behind it. It's got living bacteria that's good for your stomach.
All right. So what's this CRISPR?
So CRISPR is a new gene editing technique that was a little bit invented and a little bit of discovered in nature, and it's pretty cool stuff. You know, gene editing has been around since the 1960s, but it wasn't accurate and it was extremely expensive. This new technology is 99% less cost, and you can get results instead of in multiple years, get results from genetic editing. We're talking a week or two, and you can see the results of what you did. It's highly accurate. You take a strand of DNA and they can take out literally one gene, and they can either just cut it out, turn it off, or they can replace it with whatever they want.
If you're cutting shit out, isn't that going to wreck something else down the line?
That's a good question. That's a worry, I'm sure.
Yeah.
In your cellular structure, you have RNA that repairs your DNA as you cut it out. And the protein Cas9 transports that RNA and does the repairing for you, and that's what they're using as a transport device to do this gene editing. It's pretty cool stuff. And there's a lot of controversy over this because it is so accurate and they can get results so fast that if you know what a gene does and you know what you're putting in, you can do just about anything. You know, you can make super fast growing pigs, livestock that's immune to any disease, just about any problem in any species. You can do this to plants, you can do this to animals, humans.
This shit's been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, I would say it was discovered about 6 or 7 years ago, and when they found out what it could do, that they realized they could use it for just about anything.
So there's not any, well, obviously there wouldn't be any long-term studies then.
There's
side effects.
Yeah, there has been no recorded side effects so far, none that they can link to CRISPR. They have done studies in mice that had several mutations, but a lot of the mice in labs are highly incest and inbred, and so
that was the issue.
They more or less linked the side effects to the inbreeding, but otherwise there have been no known side effects. Yeah, in China they're already doing trials on this technology on cancer patients for lung cancer, and they're seeing results. So it's pretty cool stuff. But you know, CRISPR is an acronym. So what does it even stand for? Well,
yeah, that's a good question.
It stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. And basically what that is it's a section of your own DNA in your cell that's a library. So when you get sick, you don't get the same sickness twice. And that's for a reason, because your immune system takes a little piece of that virus and puts it into its own DNA, into that little library. And next time that virus comes, you can fight it off because you know what you're fighting.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And they realize that they can use that same storage as a tool on editing your own DNA. Because instead of searching for the virus to cut it out and switch it to healthy DNA, you can attack your own DNA and then replace it with what you want by tricking the RNA as a delivery system. And I got a video I can pull up on that.
Virus DNA in their own genetic code in a DNA archive called CRISPR. Here, it's stored safely until it's needed. When the virus attacks again, the bacterium quickly makes an RNA copy from the
Now, this is the library he's talking about.
arms a secret weapon, a protein called Cas9. The protein now scans the bacterium's insides for signs of the virus invader by comparing every bit of DNA it finds to the sample from the archive. When it finds a 100% perfect match, it's activated
It's just
and
an incredible
cuts out the virus
natural
DNA,
defense
making
system of
it
the body.
useless, protecting
Right.
the bacterium
Yeah.
against the attack. What's special is that Cas9 is very precise, almost like a DNA surgeon. The revolution began when scientists figured out that the CRISPR system is programmable. You can just give it a copy of DNA you want to modify and put the system into a living cell. If the old techniques of genetic manipulation were like a map, CRISPR is like a GPS system. Aside from being precise, cheap and easy, CRISPR offers the ability to edit live cells, to switch genes on and off, and target and study
You can use this
particular
on
DNA
full-grown
sequences.
adults.
It also works for every
I think
type
a lot of
cell,
people are gonna be using this
microorganisms,
after it
plants, animals, or humans.
Becomes commonplace.
Any organism.
I'm gonna let
Despite
them
the
go
revolution
first.
CRISPR is for science, it's still just a
Obviously.
first-generation tool. More precise tools are already being created and used as we speak.
At this point, though, it seems pretty foolproof. I mean, it's, you know, the whole system there.
It's highly accurate. You can literally snip out one gene, and like, if you want to take out one gene, it'll do that for you extremely accurately. But you can do up to 60-some genes at once with one inoculation. So
Wow.
the amount of changes you can do in a short amount of time, it's unfathomable.
So, like, for example, you could change your eye colors, change your hair color, all that stuff.
All in one injection.
Wow.
And your body can totally react to that.
It literally alters your DNA, and you can do it on the embryo level, full-grown level. You can even change your own germ part of your DNA, which is your offspring. So if you have a genetic defect that runs in your family, and I don't have Huntington's, but I know it runs in my family, I can take that out of my DNA ancestral line, so I can assure that no kids that I have will have it.
I think if this becomes commonplace, that won't matter because everybody will just be doing what they want to do. You know,
It's a really slippery slope. So
bigger penis.
Slippery slope.
yeah. Bigger penis, bigger breasts. And
You wouldn't see any imperfections anymore, or what we would call imperfections, I should say.
and who's to say it could be a whole new stage of evolution? We're talking, you know, people who have low IQs get a few injections, and you're gonna fly through school, and the sky's the limit. You know,
And so you would be able to adjust your metabolism rate.
anything
Anything.
on the genetic map that they have identified,
Anything? Okay.
and they can go in and they can switch it out with a successful gene that they've identified. But they have the whole human genome mapped, so.
I'm just trying to think as far as you know, maybe world hunger or something like that. If they were able to replace you know, a poor metabolism gene or something, I'm not even sure if that's possible. But with a person who is super efficient with everything they digest, then people may need less food.
I would think so.
Just an idea, and I don't know if that's I don't know the whole human body and how the DNA what's DNA and what's not affected, but
DNA dictates everything.
Everything.
So anything that you can think of that about the body, you can break down. And like, here would be a little breakdown of the CRISPR doing what it does is it snips out the unwanted DNA, and either it'll bridge it right away and just take that DNA section out, say if it's a genetic defect, or you can take an unwanted trait, say like, if I got big ears and I don't want those big ears anymore, a few inoculations and my ears will start receding by genetic cell death.
and that's not going to negatively affect you because that's what your body is supposed to do at that point.
Yeah, at that point, that's what my DNA is now, and so it just thinks like this is my genetic structure now. So it is proven fairly safe. But we're talking like you could do like we're talking
Superman.
say like warfare. Like now we can edit and make any virus catered to what we want because we can change the DNA of viruses and bacteria and make superbugs. You know, the government is going to see this as a weapon. You know, a tool to make super soldiers.
Right. Well, they've kind of been doing that already, but so they haven't done this on humans yet, or have they?
China.
China is the first to take the ethical leap across those boundaries, and they're using it on lung cancer patients. And now they're up to, they had success with one, and now they're doing a trial with 10 patients that have advanced lung cancer. And because you can attack, you can say, okay,
How long
cancer cell.
So in that particular study, how long did it take for him to heal the lung cancer?
It's 3 inoculations within 6 months.
And he's completely healed.
And he's showing considerable signs of recedence. So, and
it's
he
not
might
gone
have to go through more gene therapy, but they're on the right track. And like we're talking, this is the beginning of this technology. They're coming up with better delivery methods and figuring out what is the concentration, a dose of genetically altered cells that they're injecting into your body. It's pretty awesome stuff.
So what does your body do with the excess? You know, say I want to be a foot shorter. How does that work?
So
do you piss it out or shit it out?
You know, it's just like getting a bruise. You get a bruise and your cells die. Your body cleanses it out of your body naturally. You know, you grow hair, get rid of your dead cells. You know.
Yeah, what do they say? You have a whole new body within 6 months or something like that?
Yeah, through cell death and cell revitalization, you can get rid of allergies within 6 months because you can completely renew your whole cellular structure. So you could see within 6 months of this gene therapy a completely different you, or you know, like you could go to extremes and say super soldiers, or who's to say like people who are in the furries, you know, take that little kinkiness to a whole new level and make yourself part animal, you know, or say if you're on a different planet and we're exploring the universe and we go to one that's just water, give humans gills.
Exactly.
Give humans the ability to survive in deep space like tardigrades, like water bears can.
This kind of this is really making me think, because there is obviously different races of aliens.
And who's to
maybe
say
they did this before?
Who's to say they haven't altered their genetic makeup to survive in different environments because they knew the key to life. This is the software of life, and we just figured out the easiest way to do it. This CRISPR technology is so easy and so affordable, and you can get results so fast that it's going to happen. Within the next 30 years, you're going to see designer babies. You're going to say, I don't want, like, I'm going to screen my baby for all diseases and genetic defects. That's great, but can you also give him a high IQ, a big dick, and bright blue eyes?
Yeah. I think we're going to get rid of vaginal birth, too, and they're just going to be incubated and...
Yeah, I mean, like, most societies think of sex as purely recreational to this day. You know, a child is just like a secondary factor when you think of having sex. And so by having a test tube baby, that would be ideal for a lot of families.
Right. Yeah, I think it's definitely the future.
Like here's from one of the CRISPR websites. They're promoting this as a future. This is right off one of the startup companies saying that soon they will be offering it, saying that when they're advertising your child.
When they're advertising this like this, is this going to be still growing in the womb, or is this something that they're?
This is something they'll in vitro. So they will take your DNA of the mother and the father, and they will put it together, and then they will edit it before they can put it in the womb.
And they'll have software that'll be able to see the DNA and predict what it looks like, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's easy as using a word program. It's pretty amazing stuff. So here I have this article here of the first patient used for this CRISPR in China, and this was November in 2016. And it discusses that he has advanced lung cancer, and he's taken an inoculation, and they have 10 people, there we go, monitored for 6 months to determine whether the injections are causing serious adverse effects, and they're not, because...
This was over a year ago?
Yeah, this is over a year ago, and they're already on to testing 10 people, which is miraculous. So essentially, you could cure any disease, you know, or any genetic defect, like any type of retardation or mental illness, schizophrenia. Like you could do it before birth, or you know, someone who has developed schizophrenia or something else. I don't know. Is schizophrenia genetic? I don't think it is.
No, I think it is.
Is it?
I think it can be.
Is it genetic? But anything that is genetic, you can alter. And of course, like they're not thinking, let's give a full-grown adult a new nose or blue eyes.
Right.
That's not where the money's at. The money's at is that we're going to cure cancer and we're going to cure disease. Say like HIV, AIDS, and like herpes, for example, are retroviruses that do kind of what CRISPR does, is it snips out your DNA and it puts its DNA in there, and that's why it's uncurable, because you can't find it because it's hiding in your own cells.
Well,
CRISPR can find it. CRISPR, you program CRISPR to find it, it can find it, and it can obliterate it. And they've already done, United States has been doing testing with CRISPR on mice infected with HIV, where 99.9% of their cellular structure is infected with HIV, and by giving them just a few doses of this altered cellular structure from CRISPR, it decreases the HIV by 43%. So, and this is just the beginning. Like they're on their way. Like the more they do trials and the more they do testing, they're going to hone in and specialize and be able to cure any disease.
It didn't get rid of it though.
Well, that's just few doses right away.
It's just a few
like
doses.
You said, we're in the beginning stages of CRISPR. You know, 2 years down the road, one dose kills it.
Yeah,
maybe,
one dose,
specializing
it, and like any disease. And think about plants and food. Like 30 years from now, we're gonna have 9 billion people in this world, and how are you gonna feed them all?
Yeah, well,
we don't got enough space. All you gotta do is use CRISPR and mix some DNA of high yielding plants and drought resistant plants, and there you have it, a superfood.
We will be able to do that, but yeah, that was kind of what I was wondering. The Earth kind of depends on people dying. You know,
well,
this
CRISPR, yeah, you could identify the gene that controls aging, and you could turn it off. You could pause aging or possibly reverse it with CRISPR. So it could be really scary.
Right.
I mean, the moguls and the rich people in the world, people who have billions of dollars, are going to pay for this right now and be like, I want to live forever.
But I know what you're saying, but I'm saying if our technology evolved, like the government wouldn't suppress it. No, if the regular technology, the advanced like space program stuff, we could go off world and we wouldn't have a population problem.
That's my question is, but that is being suppressed.
Yeah.
This is not. So aren't we going to
all
of a
be
sudden
suppressing
have,
it?
They might have had this technology for a long time.
Some part of me,
they're just disclosing it now.
Some part of me tells me that they did,
as it's in their better interest.
Because it just seems like we're gonna run out of space quicker.
It seems like it's the miracle solution for the cure for all diseases. You could have a cure for aging. It's just unreal, and you'd have an overpopulation problem. Nobody would die, and like there'd be no space. And even if you had, you're going to other worlds at an exponential rate of the small amount of people that are going to other worlds. Because it takes a lot of energy.
Small amount. If you're thinking of the bullshit technology that they're saying is available, I'm saying you get on a spacecraft that's like the size of a continent and go to another planet. You can take a ton of people with you, or the people can live in space on those.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
That shit's being held back, and that's the problem. We can't keep going because they want to say we need to kill ourselves. Population's out of control, and that's just a big fucking hoax.
And who's to say they think they're worthy of us even catching a ride?
Right, yeah, who's worthy? They got those underground bases, too.
After CRISPR, I'll be worthy.
CRISPR.
Yeah, I'm not good enough. Edit to me, so I'm good enough.
All right.
What would you guys edit?
I'd probably get a little bit of this coming back. That would be maybe something.
Body modifications? I think I would just increase my cognitive abilities.
Yeah, that would be right up there.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I'd probably do the bigger penis, though.
Yeah, I mean, everybody needs a third leg.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a huge ethical question. Is like a lot of countries have already banned CRISPR being used on human trials.
Who banned it?
I don't.
You don't remember?
I didn't.
North Korea.
Remember? Well, just think of this: North Korea could create a super army,
right,
and take over the world, or you could edit to make a super army of animal hybrids. That the cost of them dying is nothing to you.
So as far as your behavior can that be edited? You're talking schizophrenia, mental illness, but what about just, simple anger, all of these emotions?
People who have short tempers do see it in a family line, and they have identified some of those genes. So yeah, you could potentially, for some behavioral issues that are linked to genetics, and they have identified those genes, you could turn them off. And it would be behavioral therapy as well. Like so many doors have been opened by CRISPR coming out. And like I said, like gene editing stuff has been out forever, but it was just so expensive. It took so long to get results that it wasn't really feasible. And so all this stuff that was in sci-fi of like, what could we do to DNA, it's all becoming reality, and it's just crazy. It's like you went from a slow crawl of making progress to light speed.
Right. That's what you see with the tech industry too. It just starts hockey sticking, and pretty soon you're making, just double every
there's
year.
a formula for that with technology. I forget what the rate is, but I forget what the formula is. But based on
like how much it increases every year.
Increases and like transistor sizes and stuff like that, how small they get.
Oh, absolutely. But the CPU processors and stuff, how small those are getting.
Yep, they're finding a linear increase with all that stuff.
I'd like to see super crops.
Holy shit! Is
I'd
that
like to see. Yeah, this is an edited Photoshop photo, but I mean, it is possible with CRISPR. You could take.
It'd be a pain in the ass to even cut it up.
Yeah.
Chainsaw.
Machine.
I mean, you could edit plants to grow in garbage, right?
You could edit plants to grow in garbage, grow in a desert.
Exactly.
You could take corn that needs rain every so often at least to grow, and you can make it grow in a desert easily because you can now effectively and quickly mix DNA.
And now is that going to produce, because that's what the corn is supposed to do, that corn is still going to have the same nutritional value? Is that what we're assuming, or is that?
And that's something that will go through trials as well. And you could say it has a certain nutritional value naturally, but then you could fortify it with DNA as well. You could give it the starches of potatoes. You could enrich it with protein.
What's that tomato one in the upper right?
That's a tomato.
So yeah, good question. So this is just an example of
food coloring.
This is actually the first genetically altered food that went to the commercial market, called the Flavor Saver tomato, and basically they changed a catalyst protein in it that would rot the tomato. They put an inhibitor gene in it.
No, maybe this is a stupid question, but what's the difference of this not being like a GMO crop?
This is a GMO crop. It's definitely a GMO. I mean, you're mixing
genetically
DNA.
modified.
Genetically modified.
So what would make this not be bad for you, I guess is the question.
Who's to say it's bad for you? Like, my personal opinion on GMOs is that you're putting other DNA into it, and unless you're allergic to that DNA, like say I'm allergic to fish, and they put winter flounder DNA into canola plants so it could grow in Canada. It has an antifreeze compound so it can grow in colder climates. Unless you're allergic to fish, there is zero risk of having a reaction.
But wasn't there saying that it made genetic problems, or how can I word that better?
Like free radicals?
It changes something else in the plant.
Ecosystem. Well, it may change other things in the ecosystem. There's
wasn't it like
also a concern.
three generations down the line or whatever?
It could mutate. I mean,
mutation.
You could take free radicals, and you could have random mutations, and that's because, well, say when the Flavor Saver tomato was made, they used a DNA gun, and that was the old technology, and it would punch out the DNA and put new DNA in, but it was super inaccurate. Like you kind of knew where you were putting in the DNA, and you were hoping for the best, but you didn't always get the outcomes. Like 1 in a couple thousand might be what you want.
Yeah,
it's faster than selective breeding to make heirloom and desirable fruits and vegetables, but it wasn't much better. So now with CRISPR, you can get the results within a week and see and modify again. And within a year, you can have a highly tailored vegetable and then get it out onto agriculture, do your test field, and then get it into commercial market.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, anything that like plants resistance to disease as well, like insects and disease, you can cure all these with CRISPR effectively. So all the plagues that make agricultural hardship will be gone. Fields that flood, make plants that can handle that.
Yeah, that'd be a new world.
But it'll change it'll change the entire ecosystem. For example,
guaranteed.
Say you start growing tomatoes in the desert. Mm-hmm. Well, now all of a sudden, animals can survive in the desert. They're going to get plenty of moisture and water from the tomato, and it's just they're going to migrate to the desert, and it'll change everything. So will that have negative effects? Likely, the effects will be positive and negative, unpredictable.
Adding niches in life. You know, you're adding new habitats instead of taking away habitats. I mean, you would say that you'd get rid of like a desert habitat, like, you know, you take away all the native plants, and then the native animals might actually be able to survive because there'll be more things to eat, more insects.
Oh, wow, that's like, so what's going on here?
That looks like a.
This is just a genetically altered salmon before CRISPR, and it's just a fast-growing salmon. Because when you can salmon meat, you don't have to see that. You just see canned salmon meat.
Exactly.
So that's what's coming out of genetic engineering.
Yeah,
it's a little unsightly.
They want to get as most meat as they can.
Yeah.
They're pumping it. Well, but I mean, before this, it was pumping it full of hormones to make it grow faster.
Right.
You know,
cows and stuff too.
Chicken, like here's an example of a chicken breast, or a chicken that can't even walk.
Can't even walk, but they genetically engineered it so they don't have feathers, because why waste the production money plucking the feathers?
Ugh.
It's a solution, and look how fat that chicken is. Like that chicken grows in a month.
That's the problem. When you pick something up too, don't you kind of always pick the biggest one?
Mm-hmm. Now, say like in stores, you're not gonna buy a 8-10 pound apple,
right?
45 to 100 pound cabbage. But for production and food industry, you don't get to see the beforehand. All you get to see was what's on your plate. Just like the people who are growing meat in labs right now from cells, they strain that all out and make it into a burger patty, and you're not going to know any better. You know.
Exactly.
So this is going to save the hunger of the world.
How would that branch support that? So the tree would have to be modified to
everything.
Yeah. Everything would have to be modified. You'd have to make it hardier. You would have to make it.
But that's gonna, you know, and still from the soil, they're gonna need the same amount of nutrients from the soil to produce. Now it won't take any more nutrients from the soil. Is that my understanding? They're just.
Well, you know, they've been genetically altering plants to actually not only take nutrients from the soil, but put it down. Like people plant beans to put phosphates back in the soil. Well, now you can grow a corn plant that takes nutrients up, but also sends nutrients down like a bean plant would. You know, by mixing these plants, you can have benefits.
You could make them grow really fast too, I suppose, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could increase your yield. You could have, you know, if you could increase the growth rate of these plants, you could have 2 yields a year. You could replant your field and do it again.
Yep.
Or you could take, like, say, like ever-bearing plants, like some raspberries that just keep producing and tomatoes that just keep producing. And why couldn't you make corn do that? Just constantly be tasseling and producing more.
Yeah, without having to plant.
Yeah, and just have machines that drive over and pluck the corn right out. Like
possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it's as far as your imagination can go, and as far as people are going to throw money at it, and the market is endless. Agriculture, huge money.
Everything.
Disease. You know, the only people that won't benefit from this is pharmacies.
Well, that's all right too.
Yeah,
gotta get rid of those
because you're gonna solve disease. So where are they gonna go? Like if anything, they would be one of the main investors just so they could keep making money.
Exactly, they would have to be an investor. That's the only possible, because it'll be obsolete. Medication would be obsolete.
So these are fish that glow, right?
Yeah, so these have like fluorescent jellyfish DNA that
and these
was put into them.
These have been around for quite a while.
These have been around for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
And they've put that DNA into several fish, but now they're making, like they want to do it in the pet trade. All these companies are investing money into making like micro pigs that have polka dots or stripe patterns on them, because you can take zebra DNA of a coat pattern and put it in, you know, or other pigs from around the world that have that pattern. They can put it in the teacup pigs. And every pet
increase your sales.
So like yeah, definitely.
Everybody wants a zebra pig.
This just seems a little bit like
selective. There's companies out there that are already making patents to create new species of dogs. You know, new breeds of dogs, because all of these to this point have been done with selective breeding, and we have done huge leaps and bounds just a few hundred years. And now within just a few years, you're gonna have dogs that you never heard of.
So natural selection becomes obsolete, and what's the new system, and how is that going to affect us?
Right, it's a really slippery
slope. That is the question.
It's like, where do you stop and where do you draw the line? You know, many countries are saying humans is where you draw the line. You can do this to animals and you can do this to plants, but you can't do it to humans. then places like China is like, hey, you're missing out on that whole market. We're going to do it, and we're going to get all your customers.
Yeah.
We're going to cure cancer.
Well, I have a question. How did they keep all these dog lines so pure? They must have made sure to preserve them.
It's all about inbreeding, and that's why pure breeds have
more problems.
Issues. Yep. There's a lot when you inbreed, recessive genes of genetic defects come out.
Because they would have had to grab these dogs before they would have crossed, replicated, procreated.
Yeah, and dogs all started from the gray wolf, and it's a perfect example of.
Also, it did start
breed.
As
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just.
I didn't even know.
They all started as the gray wolf, and you can see the family lines as they came down into different branches, and.
So technically,
you can see this genealogy throughout the world.
Technically, they're not pure then today, because they would have.
That's the thing is like a pure dog breed is just finding the selective traits you want and then inbreeding it and keeping the bloodline pure. You know, just like the Queen of England, like all them are inbred. All those people are inbred.
Because they're trying to make God status. That's what they think they can achieve.
They're all pure blood,
Yeah.
but they probably have tons of genetic defects and side effects of inbreeding. All right, thanks for watching Talk is Cheap. Don't forget to comment and subscribe, and look forward to more videos.
Good topic.